Good morning
Good afternoon.
or evening, wherever you are on our amazing planet. I'm Ariel.
I'm Shya.
Welcome to being here.
Yes.
It's fun.
Well,
It
it's
can
fun.
be.
It can be fun. You know, it depends. It depends on your attitude about what you're up to. If you're doing what you're doing as though it's your idea, it can be fun. If you're doing what you're doing because you have to, well, then it's not as much fun.
Also, if you get consumed by the idea that you're behind or you have to accomplish something, fun leaches out. So there's the possibility of being effective, productive, satisfied, have well-being, and hint, hint, it's all about being here.
Really.
An extra
You know,
hint,
that's the name of the show.
being here? I
Being
didn't know
here.
that.
Yeah, you've been doing this for years.
Yes. 18 and a half.
Oh, wow.
Woof.
You know, that's the thing. I realize how fast time goes by. And, if you're here for it, it really goes by faster and slower at the same time.
It's true. It feels like the Costa Rica 2024 adventure that we did in January of this year
Far,
was
far
a
away.
lifetime ago.
Far, far away.
Additionally, it feels like it was a blink.
Right.
Very, very quickly. And things were fun to the degree that we were here for them.
Well, we recently were at our physician in New York City getting some infusions.
Mhm.
And the assistant there told us that Medicare was going to cover our infusion bills for the future because we're getting rid of lead and mercury in our system. And what was interesting to me was I remember getting tested just the other day and finding out that we had a lot of mercury and lead and heavy metals. And it wasn't just the other day. It was a couple of years ago
It was
already.
actually many years ago when we first did. Are you talking
But
about?
no, most recently though.
Gotcha.
Was
Mhm.
but they didn't have a record of it. So I realized that my perception of time is very skewed to this moment, and I forget how fast it's going by. You know, there was a time I was 20 years old.
I have a feeling part of the reason it goes by quickly for the two of us, and maybe not for all of our listeners, is we have developed the skill set of doing what we're doing when we're doing it and not doing what we're not doing while we're not doing it. And either way, whether looking like, oh, I have to accomplish this, like I have some laundry downstairs to do.
Mhm.
But I'm not doing that right now. So
Right.
I'm not complaining to myself about that which I'm not doing.
Right.
And I'm not complaining to myself about that which I am doing.
Well, you mean you're not complaining?
Yes, but there are components to that. I think people forget to
Well,
look.
I think we need to talk about listening.
Okay.
And why we need to talk about listening is key to getting into the current moment of your life.
Mm.
When you're rushing to get somewhere that you think is better than where you are. Ariel and I used to do a lot of offshore deep sea fishing for things like sailfish and marlin in the Pacific Ocean off of Costa Rica. And that was maybe 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 14 years ago. It was a long time ago, but it seems like just the other day. And we were trying to get 200 sailfish caught and released between the two of us. And we were somewhere around 184 or something in that number. And the fishing was really slow. We had a couple of days booked, and maybe 2 or 3 fish would come in each day on the teasers. And but we were going to be going to Guatemala.
Right.
And Guatemala was famous for having vast numbers of sailfish. And so we figure, okay, we'll get our 200 sailfish
There. Well,
there.
this
We'll
is not so
handle this
good.
goal.
Yeah.
So we got to Guatemala and there were no sailfish.
And I got
Food
food
poisoning.
poisoning. It was
And
a trip.
it was a very interesting trip. So, you have the idea that things are going to be better when you get somewhere else. But you
And
see,
since
really,
then, we've developed the knack
well,
of being where we
really
are.
fun happens when you're here for your life.
Let's take our first guess. Did we talk enough about listening?
I-
Well, I'm going to listen to her.
No, okay. Listening requires allowing what's being said to come into you rather than thinking you know about it already.
Or even thinking about it once you hear it.
Right.
Mm.
That's not listening. Listening is hearing what another person has to say without passing it through your system of judgment, of agreement, disagreement. You don't have to agree with somebody, but you can hear what they say. That will pull you into the current moment of your life. And in this moment,
Where
Julie will
Julie
show
will
up.
show up. Hi, Julie. Welcome to being here. Where are you zooming in from?
Hi, I'm zooming in from Yonkers, New York.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Mm.
What you were just, I had a different question, but what you were just saying about listening really resonated with me because I've been attending your seminars for many years now, and I've gotten better at listening
Mm.
for sure.
Yes.
But I see as I'm I'm a high school principal in New York City, and I see as I tried to teach my staff about listening in the way that we define listening.
Mm-hmm.
It's very different and it's very new. And I just see how much people really struggle to listen.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
It is. Well, here's the thing. Our approach is anthropological. It's not psychological. So it's not about changing or fixing anything. It's about bringing awareness or a non-judgmental seeing to the moment, to be aware, to see what's going on in your life in any given moment. But we were all raised in families where people really didn't listen to one another. And so even if they listened, they were busy. They didn't devote that listening, how can I express it? Fully engaged in listening to what your child has to say. That's not where most parents are. Most parents have so many complex things going on, handling rent, food, taking care of all the things that they need to at home, and then they have a job. And, it's a very complex life. So when their kids talk to them, they listen with half an ear.
well, particularly because a lot of kids are on the I want, and what about me zone because they're kids.
Right. But that's what we all grew up with. We didn't grow up learning how to stop the action and be there for when somebody's speaking to us.
One of the big challenges I imagine you have as a high school principal introducing a style of listening that has people really hearing other people, Julie, and using their eyes as well as their ears to connect in, is that you also have goals that are very important. So your goal is attendance with your students, good classroom decorum, getting the curriculum taught in a way so they have to do the lesson plan, so they have the goal to in any given day to effectively teach their lesson plan, and ultimately the goal is that the children learn the information enough that they can pass the regents and ultimately graduate from high school. So there are all of these goals every day, from getting the kids into the classroom on time to all the way the class structure is broken up to teaching and having the kids learn. And with change and transformation, it's awareness cannot fit inside goals, but goals can fit in awareness. You become aware that you have the goal, but you're here to actually see what's happening. Where what Shai was describing, even though it was about fly fishing and about catching 200 sailfish, we had the goal to produce this result, which had us disregarding where we were in favor of some better future. And I think that that's really a big challenge, because if I stop to listen to you, apparently I may not get my lesson plan done.
Right. Right. I see that when I speak to the teachers. And I also see how over time, teachers who have hung out with me and my assistant principals longer do start to develop the skill. But it requires us like stopping, stopping.
It requires a conscious, intentional
Stop it.
listening to what another person has to say for no reason other than to hear what they're saying. And here's the other thing: they cannot be wrong about their point of view. See, from their point of view, they're absolutely accurate in their assessment of what is. It may disagree with the way you see things. Of course it will. We each have a unique perspective, a point of view. So, but when you slow down enough to hear what another person has to say, you sync up with your universe. You actually get in sync, and then things get easier. Have you noticed that? That when you get here, everything gets easy, and it's actually fun.
I suspect a couple of things. The racing teachers, the ones who have difficulty hearing you, are ones who've lost sight of how brilliant they are. Because when you don't recognize that you are an absolute genius, you work really hard to produce something, to get somewhere, and so it's hard for them to listen to you. And life becomes less and less fun.
And the other thing is this: they've got very complex, very speedy computers in their heads. So they fill in any blank in an instant where a word doesn't come out of your mouth. They fill in with what they already know or expect you to say, which isn't listening. It's thinking about the outcome, trying to get somewhere, rather than allowing oneself to be exactly as you are, where you are, as if this is a perfect moment. And by the way, it happens to be a perfect moment.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
You mentioned, of course, that you're a high school principal, and you manage, of course, all of your teachers, administrators, staff, etc.
Students.
Give us an example of a place, maybe even the last week or in the last days, where you unexpectedly had fun in a place or in a subject or some aspect of your job that people wouldn't necessarily find fun, but you discovered it was fun.
The first thing that comes to my mind is that I was working at school on a day where administrators wouldn't people might not normally be in school. I was there a little bit late, and the custodians were painting various areas of the building. And they had put up caution tape in the areas that they were painting. It was before a weekend, so they were just getting started. And so I was walking out of the building. I think I was maybe one of the last people to leave. And I was talking on the phone with one of my colleagues, another principal, and we were excited and about what we were talking about. And I walked down some stairs where the tape had fallen off. So I figured, oh, this one's dry. And I stepped on paint.
Wet paint.
And I knew it because I had a hard time lifting my feet. So then I stepped back and I stepped on the unpainted area of the floor. And I said, I gotta go. And I took my shoes off and I essentially walked barefoot out of the building, and I called the only custodian that I thought might be working. And I explained to him what I'd done. And they said, I'm really sorry. And I can't explain to you why, but it was incredibly fun. It was so unexpected. It was so fun to interact with this man and also just be honest with him about what had happened. Because I also realized I could have just quietly walked out of the building. But I said, hey, I'm walking around the building barefoot. You're going to see some footprints here. You need to clean them up. And he was laughing, and we just had a great time about it. And then the next day he saw me, he kind of gave me a hard time about it. And I feel like if I wasn't there, that really would have been upsetting. It would have been like, I ruined my shoes. I don't know what to do. I wouldn't even probably have thought of taking my shoes off and just walking out of the building that way.
Right, you would have tracked the color
Right.
down the hall.
Right. It's not really a student or teacher example, but it's like,
Well, you know what it reminds me of, though, Julie, is that you were engaged in a telephone call. So no two things can occupy you at the same time. So if you're engaged in a telephone call, your awareness of your surroundings gets severely diminished. So, I mean, you see you're walking downstairs, but the idea of really being there and seeing, oh, there's wet paint here. Or,
Oh, the caution tape fell. I wonder if this.
I smell paint in the air. When you're fully engaged in something else, like a phone call, you're not very present to the moment of your environment.
We recently wrote a blog about how happy isn't always centered. You said you were excited. You were talking with the other principal. You were excited. And sometimes excitement itself, oddly enough, can be a form of upset. Or as Shya said, you get enough involved in that conversation that you lose attention to your surroundings. I'll tell you one of the things I love about your story, though, is how you made a quote mistake. You stepped, you realized, you said, I have to go. You backed up, you found a way to go about it, and you owned up to it and had fun with it. I think a lot of times people make what are genuine mistakes or things they perceive as mistakes, and then they beat on themselves for the longest time. And it's already done. You can't undo it. You could not undo the paint on the bottom of your shoes. It was done. What you do after that is up to you.
Well,
Yeah.
It's only up to you if you're here for it. Because if you listen to your thoughts, they are not kind when you make a mistake.
Or they're like, nobody will know it's me. I'll just sneak out of here.
Be dishonest.
Yes.
As if, well, it's interesting. It's as if you're not the center of your own universe and you create your reality. See? So, you can have a dishonest reality where you're hiding those things that you've done that you think are bad or wrong, or you can just acknowledge, hey, I stepped in the paint. It's a done deal.
I will tell you something I've noticed about you as a professional and as a person who manages so many people, because we work as your leadership consultants. And one of the things I've always admired about you is how you take things that are potentially problematic and you've developed the skill set of holding it as a puzzle to be solved as opposed to a problem that needs a solution. So it's not like, oh, I have this negative thing going on. And sometimes there are huge challenges. You're dealing with kids, you're dealing with all sorts of complexities. But I love how you have the ability to look at it in a neutral framework. Even like, I find myself frustrated over this aspect is very different than investing in frustration as if the situation is wrong. Did that make
Yes,
sense?
it makes sense. And thank you. And I also feel like that skill set has been developed by hanging out with you guys, by going to your seminars, because I do think there's almost a romance in the drama of some of the problems in a public school. It's like, I work in an inner city public school, which could be, but I've really come to see it as like, I work in a school. It's a great place. There's a lot of interesting things going on, and there's a lot of challenges. And I'm just not invested in the problems as drama. It's just they're problems that are they're just what is. And yeah, you're right. I do think I look at it that way. And I've yeah.
Well, you have the potential for drama at any time, given that your school is in the Bronx and all of your students are English language learners. They are new immigrant families that come in, and you get them all year long. The doors are open. And so they can come mid-year not knowing any English. And you not only need to teach them whatever is the high school curriculum, but how to speak English and write in English and understand and comprehend. And I love how much fun you have with that, rather than, oh God, we got somebody, it's April,
Right.
Nah.
Yeah. It's cool how we've come to the place where sometimes we'll even get kids in June, which is the end of the school year here. And we're like, all right, welcome. Enjoy the last 5 days of school. We'll figure something out. So
sweet. Super sweet.
Yeah.
Well, it's been fun talking with you.
Same. Thank you.
Yeah. And I, as you say that, I really love that you talk about that you have been hanging out with us for some time and that you regularly do seminars, like the Living Made Easy seminars on Mondays or Saturdays. Of course, we do them often Tuesdays as well for primarily our European community. There is something about having a consistency of practicing the skill sets of being here that really has an impact.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. It's that time.
The time for what?
Our listener feedback spotlight.
What is that?
Well, I'm so proud of the people who listen to this show. And now we get to hear from one or more of them about what's happening in their lives with transformation by listening to this podcast and
what they've discovered about life, what they've discovered about their lives, that they are experiencing fun in their lives.
And that they want to share it with you.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Ursula from St. Gallen, Switzerland. And it's amazing what I experience in life, that in earlier days before I discovered Ariel and Shya and their seminars and books, I could not even imagine that there was more to life than I then experienced. And now I feel like I'm part of the party, and I can enjoy connecting with people, my job, my life, and just have fun with everything that's happening in my life. Thank you.
Do you want to have well-being with consistency? Connect with people all over the world from the comfort of your own home at Ariel and Shya's lively interactive Living Made Easy virtual seminars. Join any of their 2-hour online events or take a deep dive into the magic of being you at a virtual weekend seminar. Come on, let's connect. Find out more and register at transformationmadeeasy.com.
As mentioned with Julie, we have Living Made Easy 2-hour virtual seminars on Monday nights, Saturdays, and at least one Tuesday a month. It's not every Monday, not every Saturday, but many. So you can go to our website, transformationmadeeasy.com, check the website and register. You can come to any one evening or session, and you can come as often as you like.
We're also doing some weekends.
We have an in-person one coming up
Yes.
the end of this month.
Freedom to Breathe and Art of Being Happy in Hamburg, Germany. That's October 31st is the Freedom to Breathe.
Which is a Thursday.
And November 1st through 3rd is the Art of Being Happy weekend.
Virtual seminars coming up next are Relax into Life, early December, the 7th and 8th. I think that's perfect timing because most of us get a little bit tight around the holidays and end of year things.
And then we have Leap into Life, January 4th and 5th. And that's also a virtual seminar. That's in 2025.
Any of those weekends still make you eligible for our Costa Rica January 2025, although it's getting very, very close. So if you want to come to that, you should let us know. Additionally, in case you're not already signed up for our newsletters, we have a newsletter that goes out and blogs, and they're really informative. They're fun, and you're invited. You can sign up for any and all at transformationmadeeasy.com.
Yes.
All right, Ephraim, welcome to being here. Tell people where you're zooming in from.
Hi, thank you. I'm calling in from Brooklyn, New York.
Nice.
Great to be with you guys. So this theme of the show is about fun, but it made me think of work immediately because when I remember when I first met you guys, my work was not fun. I had a sense that I didn't realize that I was actually victimizing myself with work. And I'm an architect and I had an amazing job, and I was looking at the clock. I was wondering how many hours I had left in the day. And when I met you guys, I wasn't looking for help. I wasn't looking for a solution to that. I think I was just interested in the possibilities in life in general. But from coming to you and just somehow I started to become interested in what I was doing, and actually it just was such a transformation, and so I just wanted to thank you for that.
Well, you're welcome. But what's interesting is this, Ephraim. What we do is listen to one another. And if you really listen, eventually you discover how to be there when somebody is speaking rather than follow the tangential thoughts you have as you listen. Because you notice in the beginning, listening was coming back to what was going on because you kept on going away. That's normal. But as you said, you get more and more facile in being where you are. And then where you are isn't a problem, it's an adventure. So you discover possibilities in your work that you didn't see before. It was, when can I go home? The only problem going home was when you got home, you had, when can I go somewhere else?
Yeah.
You know, I love you describing how when you came, that you wanted to look at what was possible, but it didn't even occur to you that work could be fun. It didn't occur to you in a certain respect that it wasn't fun. Well, it just was the way it was.
See, and the way you view life determines how you experience your life. If you view it as something to get through, to get onto the better things, then life is not fun. Because, see, there are no better things. In reality, there's only this moment. This moment is where your life is taking place. So this is the best moment of your life because it's where your life is in this moment. Now, that may sound redundant, or circular reasoning, but the reality is your experience of living takes place in this moment. Everything else is a projection off into a possible future that hasn't arrived, or a past that was interpreted through how you were experiencing life when you experienced it. So your memories of being a child were recorded from the point of view of a child. So how old is your daughter?
She's turning 10 in November.
Wow, time goes fast. But when she remembers something from a year ago, that was when she was 9 years old. Our minds are not fully formed until we're in our 30s, really. They say it's 21, but I've seen a lot of very young 26-year-olds. So in any event, this is where your life is taking place, this moment of now. If you're here for it, it's fun. What doesn't really matter what the circumstances are. If you're here for it, it's a possibility. But if you're complaining to yourself that you should be doing something else, which is how you were when we met,
which is perfect. I'm certain there are people listening today that want to fix one area of their lives. And I say perfect. Wherever you start is perfect. And then there are whole other possibilities available to you. You may start wanting to change something. That's normal. But there's the possibility of transformation. And as you get here, even areas you didn't deem problematic that need fixing, whole other ways of being blossom open. So my guess is you weren't trying to fix looking at the clock. It was just a fact. And then that transformed along with you.
Well, when you're in pain, you look for a solution.
Yeah, I have no idea what actually changed, but it's just and I like what you said about just that you don't know what you don't know. It's not exactly what you said, but that's the thought I got. And I remember hearing Ariel, you say something recently about how when you're doing your work and you're not having fun, that maybe it's time to take a break or something like that. I just love the fact that you offer the possibility that I think I still have the idea that if something's getting difficult, I have to sludge through it. I have to fight it. Whereas there is, you gave me the possibility that I could take a break and refresh myself and come back to something.
Sometimes you have to slug through it. Say, if you're steering a boat and the weather changes and it gets rough, you don't take a break. You got to get to be there for whatever needs to be done so you can make it back to shore.
I do. I like what you say as an option, but I can see you're turning it into a new rule. I know you picked up on that part of what I may have said, but I'm clear that if I'm not having fun, it's a symptom. So either I'm upset, and then whatever I'm doing, even taking a break won't be fun. Sometimes I'm pushing to get through, and taking a break or, changing, doing something will re-energize me. But I love what you say, because sometimes you get in the midst of something and you need to address it. Like if your boat is mid-bay and the weather turns and you have to get to port, if you start saying, this isn't my idea, I didn't sign up for this, I don't want this, fun goes out the window.
But, I've had a lot of fun on rough days at sea when I was there steering my boat going where I was going. if I victimize myself with that the waves got to be 8 feet high, well, then I had a very difficult experience. But I tend not to do that. See, you can handle anything, Ephraim. Whatever life brings you, you can handle. Otherwise, it wouldn't bring it to you.
That's so cool.
It is. But if you start thinking rather than being there to see what needs to be done, if you start worrying about possible futures, then you will have some problems because your thought processes, even though they seem to save you from reality, can oftentimes create more problems than just looking and seeing what needs to be done in the moment.
I keep thinking about this article, this interview I heard was someone did a TED talk. Someone was really studying failure, and what she learned was that when you interview someone who failed, they have all these thoughts about, they have all these things to say about what happened and why they didn't perform as well as they think they should have. But then when you interview people that did something amazing, they have no words for it. And what she discovered was that people are, yeah, when you're thinking, you get out of your center, but when you're in the moment, you're not thinking and you're just responding.
Exactly. It's more than just responding. It's looking and seeing what is an appropriate action in this moment. But you don't have that conversation. It bypasses the conversation of what to do. It is a direct solution to the circumstance. And I like talking with you because I find that I get very clear all of a sudden. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I know it's a left turn and it's probably for another show, another day. But I did notice something recently when Shya spontaneously worked on a friend of ours who was having, or an acquaintance of ours who was having extreme pain due to an operation and had had it for some time. And he was feeling really blue about himself, his life, the progress of the pain. And Shya worked on it, was basically held it and put a thumb in a place that was hurting. And he said, give me a number from 0 to 10. How is it now? He was just asking questions. And I found something very interesting. And that was that pain had become a lifestyle and how reluctant he was to have it go away. And I know that this is all about fun and whatnot, but what I see you talking about, even about this TED Talk, most of us are very invested in our reasons for things, and it's outside our reality that could transform in an instant.
The transformation is instantaneous. It doesn't happen over time. It's those aha moments where suddenly everything becomes clear and there is no ambiguity. Everything is obvious. That's what happens as you get into the current moment of your life. But if you're lost in your thoughts and are blaming circumstance for why life is the way it is, then you never can achieve that sense of awareness that allows you to discover that you are the center of your universe.
Well, thank you so much. I see how just a lot of so many things in my life are just familiar to me and that I find comfort in things staying the same. And it's
Oh, yes, definitely. We want things to stay the same. Change is definitely upsetting.
But I also, yeah, see how it's just so inspiring to just reach out and get another perspective and um, just see something new.
Thank you. And thank you for being with us today. Really, it's been fun.
Well, it's been fun for us.
Me too. Thank you so much.
Oh, wow. You can subscribe to this podcast, share it with your friends. If you haven't already subscribed to our newsletter, you can do that. And of course, all of our courses in the newsletter sign up link is at transformationmadeeasy.com. We are really thrilled to have you as a listener. Next week's podcast, how to have a match made in heaven. Just relax. We'll be back next week.
Yes.
So come on back.
And don't miss
Being here.